Washington, President Roosevelt, President Eisenhower, and President Truman. Thank you for coming. We'll start here in just a few minutes.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Honor Flight at Home, Marion. I'm Margie Saul, the Honor Flight at Home event coordinator. We are so glad that all of you are here today, whether you are being an honored veteran, whether you're family, guests, or just come to support the veterans. If you're able at this time, we would like for you to stand for the hosting and presentation of the colors and remain standing through the national anthem, please.
If you would, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, see, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets spread glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
open the program, I'd like to share with you, if I could, President Roosevelt, a prayer you gave on June 6, 1944, as our troops launched the D-Day invasion. Please sit and remove your hats.
Almighty God, our Son, pride of our nation, this day of set upon a mighty endeavor, the struggle to preserve our republic and to set free a suffering humanity. Lead them straight and true. Give strength to their arm, stoutness to their heart, steadfastness in their faith. They will need thy blessings. Their road will be long and hard. For the enemy is strong. He may hurl back our forces. Success may not come with rushing speed, but we shall return again and again. And we know that by thy grace and by the righteousness of our cause, our sons will triumph. They will be sore tried by night and by day, without rest, until the victory is won. The darkness will be rent by noise and flame. Then the soul will be shaken with the violences of war. For these men are liquid drawn from the wave of peace. They fight not for the lust of conquest. They fight to end conflict. They fight to liberate. They fight to let justice arise, and power and goodwill among all thy people. They yearn but for the end of battle, for their return to the haven of home. Help us, Almighty God, to rededicate ourselves to renewed faith in Thee.
To our honored veterans, families, and friends, on behalf of all of us at Honor Flight Columbus, thank you for coming today. My name is John Shore, and I'm the president of Honor Flight Columbus. I'd like to give you a little background on what Honor Flight is all about and what brought us to today. In 2004, the long overdue memorial to our World War II veterans opened in Washington, D.C. Honor Flight got its start shortly after that in Springfield, Ohio, when Earl Morris, a physician's assistant and private pilot, started asking his patients that were World War II vets if they were going to visit their memorial. He heard that for the most part they were not, due to either travel or financial issues. Earl resolved to take these vets himself at no charge. His first flight in a rented airplane had but one vet, but the word spread and soon he had numerous World War II veterans asking to go. Earl then got his flying club involved, and in 2005, the first Honor Flight used 6 small planes to fly 12 veterans to Washington. But Earl told the other pilots they were doing this at their own expense. The vets would not be charged, as they had already paid with their service to our country. Soon after that, the Honor Flight Network started, and we started using commercial airplanes to fly the vets. In 2007, Honor Flight Columbus was born. For the first several years, we used regular flights and could take approximately 45 vets on each flight. After several years, we started using charter flights, and currently we take 90 to 95 vets on each flight, along with about 40 or 45 volunteer guardians. To date, Columbus has flown over 6,000 World War II, Korea, and Vietnam vets to visit their memorials in Washington. And Columbus is part of a network in 47 states with over 140 hubs. Nationally, since 2005, Honor Flight has taken over 200,000 vets to Washington, all at no cost to the vets. Which brings us to today. Our name is Honor Flight. Our mission is to honor, share, and celebrate our senior veterans. Our job is to fly the vets to Washington. But as the vets get older, the role of the honor flight hubs are changing. Sadly, the number of World War II and Korean vets we fly is coming to a close. And we know not all vets can travel to Washington for a number of reasons. As Earl resolved to fly the vets in 2005, Honor Flight Columbus resolved to honor, share, and celebrate our unable to travel vets at home. How did we come to this decision in Columbus? You have Marion's own Margie Saul, who you met at the beginning of the program, to thank for that. After being involved in a light program in Florida, she came to Honor Flight Columbus with the request to do this in Ohio. Margie is very convincing, and as that request is the program today. As my board of directors talked about venturing into this new area, I was asked, why should we do this? Have a program in Ohio when our job is to fly vets to Washington. My thoughts are that 50 to 75 years from now, I do not want the younger generations to wonder, perhaps, why Honor Flight didn't do something to recognize our unable to travel senior veterans before it was too late. I use this analogy. I ask, why not? I ask, if not us, who? If not now, when? So an honor flight, what all is involved on flight day? You experience the early morning activities with the check-in, the shirts, and the pictures. We do that at John Glenn International Airport at about 5:30 in the morning. During this program, we will take you on a visual trip of what Honor Flight visits in Washington. As we do on the flight, we have some surprises for you as your Honor Flight day progresses this afternoon. So sit back, relax, while we honor our senior veterans. We honor all veterans with this tribute to your service. We remember your service, we honor your service, and as we always say, we thank you for your service. Thank you. You just heard her sing the national anthem. I'd like to introduce back up Tamala Knight, who's going to give a rendition of Salute to the Branches. I would ask during that, if you can, please stand or wave your hand or hat or whatever you want to wave to let us know what branch you served in. Tamala?
And also, I'd like to add the family members and friends of those that we are celebrating today. Feel free to clap along and let's celebrate them as they stand and are recognized. First one's going to the Army. Everybody in the Army. What about Air Force?
this room. Thank you, Tamara. Wonderful, wonderful. Let me raise this screen. Our guest speaker today is Corporal Anthony Will. Anthony enlisted in the United States Marine Corps after graduating from Ohio University in 2004. He was stationed with the 3rd Marine Division at Marine Corps Base Kaneohe Bay in Hawaii with an Iraqi campaign tour in 2007. He is a life member of the local BFW Post 3320 and a Veteran Services Commissioner in Union County. He lives in Marysville with his wife Sarah and their son Asher. He works as a partner at the law firm of Schultz, Cox & Will in downtown Marysville. I'll turn it over to you, Corporal Anthony Will.
Before I begin my remarks, I want to give thank you to Honor Flag at home, in particular John and Margie for inviting me to come back. Being involved in the event last year was an absolute thrill, really fantastic experience. Being a part of this event today, being in this room, is another to move your spirit to tears. Feeling the energy and knowing the sacrifice of the individuals here is awe-inspiring. It's very humble. It truly is. So if I well up or if I stumble, it's because I'm a little bit nervous about being in the presence of so many American heroes. So that's a disclaimer there. A little over 100 years ago, then President Teddy Roosevelt was in France giving a speech. The title of that speech was Citizenship in a Republic. And there's a section in that speech called The Man in the Arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, but because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those timid and cold souls who neither know victory nor defeat. One of the last comments I made here last year was to say thank you. Thank you to the veterans I saw before me, to thank them for inspiring me to serve my country, to thank them for their sacrifice, and to thank them for the freedoms I have gotten to enjoy my entire life without having done anything to deserve them. Recently, I've spent some time thinking about what that means to me. Being grateful is an easy enough thing to do, but if we don't take the time to think about what it really means to us, it becomes a hollow gesture. What are we really thankful for? What freedoms are we grateful to have? What makes your sacrifice so precious? For me, the answer to those questions is this. I'm thankful for your legacy. I am grateful for the arena that you have protected for us. You have preserved that great American legacy where we can be who we want to be. We can say what we want, we can think what we want, we can believe and worship how we want without fear of persecution. That cannot be taken for granted. When we say we fight to protect the American way of life, that is not describing just one way of life. There is no one way to worship, no one way to act, no one way to look, no one way to believe in America. And yet, we are all in this together. We all live in this arena, coexisting with one another, and it is our duty and obligation to allow others to be free as we want to be free ourselves. Freedom is not having what we want, and for others to be who we want them to be. No. To be free means that we must also give others the space to be what free means to them. The American arena is a place within which all walks of life can advocate for their firmly held beliefs without fear of being cast out by judgment and hostility, without fear of being ostracized. Some of us feel that we should enact tougher gun laws to help plague the violence in our country. Some of us feel that blaming guns is a red herring. It's not going to stop the problem. Some of us feel that a person's orientation is a danger to our society. Some of us feel that a person's orientation is irrelevant. Some of us feel that if you're not an American citizen, that you don't deserve to be in the country. Some of us feel that any looking for a better life are welcome. The fact remains that we are all in this together. The things I have just mentioned tend to invoke strong feelings in many people on both sides of those issues. That's good. There are many issues we face as a nation that are of great consequence and need to be undertaken with great passion, but also with great care. During my time on active duty, when I would see on TV or hear someone make a comment that I didn't agree with or that I thought was terrible or absurd, I would say that even though I completely disagree with that individual and with their views, that I was willing to fight and die for their right to say it or to express it. That was my duty, to carry on and preserve your legacy and protect that arena. Somewhere along the way, that sentiment has gotten lost. Somewhere along the way, that sentiment has been drowned out by the noise and the rhetoric that is dominating our society. The anger, fear, hate, judgment. Somewhere along the way, we forgot that someone is not evil because they do not share the same views as we do. Somewhere along the way, we began to look at difference not only wrong, but dangerous. And by the simple fact that someone has a different opinion than us, they're not only wrong, but that they're hostile. America is not a thing that you can hold. It's not a thing that you can touch. It's an ideal. It's an ideal that must live in all of us. A flame that must be protected from stiff wind and from cold rain. We risk losing our civility, and in doing so, we have jeopardized the arena and your legacy. We have failed to protect that which is most precious to us. We are now too quick to judge, not just the merits of an idea, but the people who hold them as well. Even if we've never seen or spoken to them, we judge them, we scorn them for not being as we are, for not believing as we do, for getting them. For with whatever judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with whatever measure you measure, it will be measured on. Matthew 7:2. I am not immune from this. I have judgment in my heart. God sees it. When I pray for the strength, the wisdom, and the patience not to pass judgment on others. That judgment is taken from my spirit. It is difficult. If we do not try, it will grow, consume, and destroy us. Nazi Germany had no arena. If you did not look, believe, and act like you were told, you were sent to prison. If you were lucky. Communist China, Communist Russia, so heavily influenced Korea and Vietnam, had no arena. Millions upon millions were sent to labor and re-education camps where they were kept in subhuman conditions. So every thought, every word uttered was in support of the state. Everyone had to be the same. You had no choice. We do not have to agree with one another. But whether we agree or not should not dictate how we talk to each other, how we talk about each other, or how we treat one another. We are all in this together. We must preserve the space for our freedoms to coexist. The reaction to going too far left is to go too far right. The reaction to that is to go further left, and back and forth, and back and forth. We reach such extremes that the ship capsizes and we are all lost. There are no winners there, only losers. Our republic, our American way of life, is built upon our equality, not before one another, but before God. Not a single one of us is above that self-evident truth. We are all created equal. That we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. This is the essence of our arena. That Declaration of Independence lit a fire that sits atop the hill. President Lincoln brought forth and echoed those words in the Gettysburg Address. 77 years ago, our forefathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the idea that we were all created equal. He continued by saying that the sacrifices made by those to preserve the Union would not be in vain, and that a government of, by, and for all of us would not perish from the earth. Our veterans have fought in war after war to protect those unalienable rights, to protect that arena, that flame, to be the light on the hill. We've fought off tyrants, bigots, dictators, totalitarian regimes. We have fought those who would seek to wipe out entire peoples just because they are not who they are told to be. We cannot let that great sacrifice go to waste. We cannot allow ourselves to tear asunder that which has been protected and paid for with the blood, sweat, and tears of our veterans. When you talk to someone, be respectful even if you do not agree with them. When you talk about someone you do not agree with, talk about why, not about them. Allow space for others to be different without passing judgment because they are. Do not stoke fear. Do not encourage hatred. Do not condone. We are all in this together. How we treat others is a reflection of who we are. When we treat others with disrespect because we do not approve of them or their beliefs, it's a reflection of our character. This is not how Americans should strive to be. Let us be worthy of honoring those who have sacrificed for us. Let us be worthy of saying thank you and honoring the great men and women that we see here today at this event. Let us be knowingly and honestly grateful. Let us cherish that freedom that we have been afforded, lest we lose it. The next time you thank a veteran, tell them why. Make it personal to yourself. When I say thank you to the veterans, when I say thank you to all of you here today, I am thanking you for preserving for me the freedom to choose who I want to be, to decide what my freedom is to be. I can think of no greater freedom than that, freedom of choice. To rise and fall of my own character, that my fate will not be decided by a bureau or a mob or a demagogue, but by my own hand. And even though I will falter along the way, and even though I may fail, I have an arena in which to try. I have an arena within which to be free. So again, I say thank you. Without you, without your sacrifice, I would have not been able to become who I am today and who I hope to become tomorrow. None of us would. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it. At this point, I'm going to fire up a video here. This video will give an overview of a typical honor flight tour of Washington. A thank you goes out to our honor flight in West Central Florida for some of the pictures used, and to Coasting River Productions for donating their efforts in putting the video together. Give me just a second. Each year, we take an average of 6 trips to visit the memorials. Our one-day trip leaves on a charter flight from John Glenn Columbus International Airport early on a Saturday. We take 85 to 90 veterans, and we take over 50 wheelchairs.
They've been called the greatest generation. They've been called heroes. They've been called dad, grandpa, great-grandpa, and of course, great-grandpa. For their selfless contributions to bringing freedom and honor to our country, isn't it time? War II veterans, all expense paid trip to our nation's anthem, where they can reflect, remember, and respect their friends and fellow soldiers and sailors, so we continue to share our history and heritage, and especially to those who gave you sacrifice.
After landing in Baltimore, we traveled in 3 tour buses to Washington. Using a police escort, arriving in Washington, we will go to the Arlington National Cemetery and the changing of the guard. Honor Flight is the only group permitted to take buses to the amphitheater and the changing of the guard. Very emotional. This is a time for all to reflect. The next stop is the newest Armed Forces Memorial, the Air Force Memorial. Over 200 feet tall, the 3 spires dominate the landscape adjacent to Arlington and the Pentagon. For his inspiration, the architect's design used the contrails of the Air Force Thunderbirds as they peel back in a precision bomb burst maneuver. This memorial was built in 2006. And it's a good thing it was then because that is directly in the flight path of the airplane that flew into the Pentagon on 9/11. On to the World War II Memorial. As we approach the memorial, World War II veteran and retired Senator Bob Dole is usually there to greet the veterans. The arches for the Atlantic and Pacific campaigns dominate the memorial. The price of freedom, the wall of stars, visually represents the cost of World War II. Each star you see on the wall represents 100 Americans who died or remain missing. There are over 4,000 stars. Over 400,000 need the ultimate sacrifice. Wrapping around the memorial are 56 towers representing the 48 states and territories during the war. Opposite the Freedom Wall are the bas-reliefs depicting the all-out mobilization of America's agricultural, industrial, military, and human resources during the war. The beautiful fountain is in the center of the memorial, and he made it too. After World War II, we parked by the Lincoln Memorial. 8 years in the building, the memorial opened in 1922. I'm always amazed that quite a few of our vets have never visited a memorial before. So if time permits, we trek up the steps or the elevator so they can visit Mr. Lincoln. Adjacent to the Lincoln Memorial and next to the reflecting pool is the Korean Memorial. The Korean Memorial has 19 soldier statues representing all branches of service. They are dressed to depict the cold winds blowing in Korea. At the Korean Memorial, we honor the over 36,000 Americans that died in hostile actions during the Korean War. Of these, over 8,000 are listed as missing in action or buried at sea. On the other side of the reflecting pool is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. The wall contains the names of over 58,000 Americans either killed or missing in action. Part of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial is a 3-soldier statue and the Vietnam Women's Memorial. Always in our view is the Washington Monument. Taking over 20 years to build, it opened in 1877. As we were driving around Washington, we go past the White House and the Capitol. We're still waiting for the invite to tour the White House. We often stop at the Navy Memorial on Pennsylvania Avenue in downtown D.C. The memorial contains water from all 7 oceans. And the lone sailor holds a watch. A tribute to our Marines, the Iwo Jima Memorial sits adjacent to Arlington Cemetery. This iconic memorial depicts the famous flag raising during the battle on Iwo. We fit in as much as we can during the day. After this whirlwind tour, it's back to Baltimore for the trip home to Columbus. It is a long day full of memories. At this point in our program, you'll see the entry for a mail call. And I'll challenge the vets, I often do this, on what was the best time you had during your service if you were overseas. And I've heard a lot of different events, but one is the mail call. It was getting mail from home, and I have 2 folks here today to help us do that. The first is on loan from the post office. They don't know they loaned them, but we took them. Is Mike Klossing. He's going to assist Ms. Tracy Richardson with this. Now Tracy, she's a state representative for Marion County. She is currently a major in the U.S. Army Reserves with prior duty at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. She is a West Point graduate and one of the first few classes of women at West Point. She is a combat decorated veteran of Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And just last night, she returned from annual training early, just so she could be with us today. So I would ask at this time, Tracy.
Thank you so much, and a very hearty welcome home. We thank you so much. I thank you for the opportunity to be here. I want to thank Margie Saul and, of course, John for the opportunity. And I want to give a special thank you to my friend Anthony Will for his talk to us. He really got me thinking as well about what's important. And I just returned from U.S. Military Academy, where the entering class of new cadets has a class motto. Freedom isn't free, is their motto. Many of us here, I'm sure, understand that motto. And so, once again, I thank you for your service. I know firsthand the personal sacrifice that it takes to serve. And so from the depths of my soul, I thank you. One other thing I want you to know, as a state representative, I serve on the Armed Forces and Veterans Committee. So I am your voice for policy at the Ohio State House. And if you have thoughts or concerns, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. Thanks again. We now have the opportunity, I have the opportunity with Mr. Mike to do mail call. So without further ado, I'll let Mike call the names.
So I don't have to deliver any bad news today. If you would raise your hand, wave your hand, somebody help them out if they don't mind. Mr. Larry Barnthouse. Mr. Bob Beveridge. Mr. Gene Foster. Mr. Jim Gaston. I apologize, I'm going to butcher this one. Aaron Godeke? Fantastic. Thank you. Mr. Carl Hyman. Mr. Russ Kippen. Mr. Pete Kraut. Mr. Frank Larrick. Mr. Calvin Miller. Mr. Ken Menard. Mr. Dale Mowry. Mr. James Payton. Mr. Payne Patrick. Patrick Payne. Mr. Henry Pure. Mr. Don Shear. Mr. Bob Reese. Mrs. Helen Safara. Mr. Don Spring. Mr. Jim Stainer. Mr. Harold Traber. Gene Valdez. And Mr. Fred Yost. Thank you all very much.
You both, but he forgot to ask, did everybody get one? Did everybody get an envelope? Because if you didn't, blame the post office. Blame us, we got them all. That's one of the things we built into our honor flights that the vets don't know about. What we'll do once the vets are scheduled for their flight, we have a group of volunteers that will call friends and family to mail in letters to husband, dad, grandpa, great-grandpa. We've got a lot of schools in Central Ohio that part of their learning lesson and writing lesson for the elementary kids is a little bit of history, and then to write a letter to the veterans. And this is one, we give it to the vets on the way back from Washington to Baltimore. It's about an hour drive. We hand out the mail call, and you don't hear a sound in the bus because they're busy reading their mail. And then, so it really goes over rather well. So that's one of the built-in surprises. There will be another one coming up. At this point, we're going to put it out of order from our regular flight, but I'm going to ask Tamala to come back up. Because again, you do not want to hear me sing God Bless America, but I would encourage you all, if you want to stand up, if you want to sing, shout it out with her. Because we always end our flights at the airport with God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Let's sing it again. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
In closing, I'd like to invite Patrick White to lead us and say a few words.
First off, as a veteran, let me say thank you to everyone who's involved in putting this program together. And to you sitting by, thank you. I am the man I am today because of a World War II, United States Navy, third-class petty officer, torpedo mate. My uncle. Go Navy. Just accurate with that. It is a pleasure and a privilege to be here to have the honor of closing this service in prayer. If you can stand, would you please stand with me? If you can't, that's quite all right. Let us bow our heads. Our precious and most kind Heavenly Father, we come to you just now in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Thanking you for all of your many blessings, most importantly, thanking you for Him. We first come to you thanking you for the opportunity to come to you in prayer, for giving us life, for giving us freedom, for giving us liberty, and for making it possible for us to just worship you. Secondly, we thank you, Father, for these men and women who have given so much of themselves to make sure we can have that life, that freedom, and that liberty we so wonderfully enjoy. We thank you for this program we have enjoyed today. Thank you for all who participated and made it come to pass. As we close the program and go to our personal homes of abode, we ask, Father, that you send your angels of mercy to watch over all, get us home safe. We also ask one last favor, Father, and that is simply that you look at the assembly gathered here this day. Bless each one, Father, with your very best blessing. And when this life is over, gather each of us in your loving arms, that we may make this assembly one more time in heaven with none missing, many more in attendance. In Jesus' name we praise and thank you. And they all said, Amen. Thank you.
We will now close with the retirement of the culprits.
Right, fix!
Our guard. Left. Feet. Forward. Hoop.
Honored veterans and one person that is to be with you at your tables, you may be seated. At this time, I would like to dismiss family and friends to the hallway, please. And so we'll let the veterans just kind of be in here for a little while.
The first veteran coming out is Mr. Gene Foster, Army, Korea. Gene. Larry Barnhouse, Army, Vietnam. Larry. Mr. Jim Gaston, Army, Vietnam. Jim Stegner, Army, Korea. Got another Army, James Pate, Vietnam. Frank Lyric. Frank, Army, Vietnam. Ken Menard, Army, Korea. Harold Traber, is that right? Traber? Navy, World War II. "99-year-old World War II veteran. Gene Valdez, Army, Vietnam. Carl Heineman, Army, during the Cold War. Pete Kraut, Air Force, Vietnam. Fred Yost, Air Force, Korea. Russ Pippin, Air Force, Vietnam. Bob Reese, Army, Korea. Mr. Dale Mowry, Air Force, Korea. Calvin Miller, Air Force, Vietnam. Henry Purr, Navy. He didn't get enough in World War II. He came back for Korea. Don Shearer, Air Force, during the Cold War. You guys aren't loud enough down there. I can still hear myself. Helen, help me out. Safara, Air Force, Cold War. Aaron Goldcat, Army, Cold War. Thank you for your service. Payne Patrick, Army, Korea. Where you go? Richard Klein. Yep, we'll look them up. you go. Okay. Yep, Bob Beveridge, Air Force in Vietnam. You're the only Marine I think is here today. You know that? Don Spring, I always make fun of you guys, but we let them come anyway. Marine, Vietnam. Hoorah!
This concludes our program this afternoon. I hope this has been a memorable afternoon for you. I appreciate all family and friends that came out today, as well as all of our volunteers in making it possible. So thank you again, and have safe travels home.
And Margie, thank you for putting all this together.